Hey, what's up, everyone? Right here on another episode of Eli and Mike. Today we have an amazing guest here with us present. And honestly, it's crazy how we run into so many people in this world. But, our guest here today is Gav. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Eli. How are you doing today? Thank you for having me on.
Anytime. Thanks for being here with us.
Love it.
We honestly really wanted to get you on our show because, for one, you are an inspiration. Now, let's be real. Me and Mike have followed you before. We get along. We're like I think we're getting close to you, I think. Right?
Yes.
I think we are.
Right.
I like you guys.
You even said
thank
I
you.
do podcasts with my friends. I'm like, all right, that sounded good.
Yes, definitely.
but we
know your time is valuable.
yeah.
So thank you for being here today.
No, for
so
sure.
honored.
For sure. And we wanted to have you on our show to kind of ask you a few things and see, what you're all about. What is it that Gav's doing?
Right.
What is it that you can share with the world? What is it that you can share with us?
Yes.
And maybe we can figure out, hey, why can't everybody do this? Why can't people do what Gav is doing in this life to help maybe other individuals who are whether self-employed, people that need a little bit of a motivation push? And I feel like you're the right person for that.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Love
We're
it.
going to have a great conversation. And,
Yes.
I get along with both you guys very, very well, outside of any podcast or interview. So I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, amazing.
And I think it's so cool how we did meet because everybody has their Instagrams and sometimes you just follow people because you see them from other pages.
Right.
And I think that's what we did. And then we ended up at Sean Kelly's event.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was so cool because we're following each other, and then we started our conversation, and then later on is when we were like, let's follow each other, and we look and we were already following each other.
We just didn't expect you to be so tall. So you came up to me like, there's this tall dude. He said he knows who I am. I'm like, what?
Do I look short on Instagram?
Oh my God, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, what are you trying to say?
I'm just saying, I don't know. But definitely it was a lot.
So networking events can be so powerful because it brought us together, and we're learning so much from you already in the last couple of months that we've known you. So it's amazing. And, one thing that intrigues us so much about you is that you're a businessman, but you also, you travel the world. And I know that's one of your, when you go on your Instagram, that's one of your top things that people see is you traveling the world. And we did want to, ask you about this, right? So how many countries have you been to? And you go everywhere.
Yeah. So I've been to over 100 countries in my life.
Wow.
And
Wait, 100?
Over 100.
Oh my God. I was telling Eli, I think it's 30.
And that was a lot already. 100?
Yeah, we were like
It's
30,
not-
oh my God.
It's more than 30.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I don't know the exact number. It's probably anywhere from 103 to 105 probably.
Wow.
I lost track as soon as I crossed over 100.
Okay.
I stopped
my
keeping
God.
track, but I have a list on my phone of all the countries I've been to. Just been truly blessed and grateful that I've had the opportunity to really explore other cultures, and I really like to even live a month or two in each country.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have done trips where I'm blasting through countries. I'm one day in each country, 2 days in each country, 3 days in each country, next country. But I really enjoy when I'm able to really be in one place and really explore the local culture and experience everything it has to offer.
Wow.
So
Oh my God.
And out of those countries, if you were to pick the top 3 countries that you would definitely go visit again, what are the top 3 countries you feel that are favorable to you?
so definitely Australia, but I'm biased.
Okay, right.
Hold up. Australia by your bias. Why?
Because I grew up in Australia.
Okay.
So I lived there until I was 13. But, it's very different as an adult, going back and being able to do whatever you want, really, right? Because I left Australia when I was 13, came to the States, and did college here, etc.
Nice.
But outside of Australia, definitely Japan. I love Japan.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
One of the best countries I've visited.
They were planning to go visit that.
Yeah, we are planning Japan. So.
It's amazing. The food is amazing.
Okay, love
people
it.
are super friendly, super
nice.
Wow.
And then there is, what will be third? I really like Spain, Barcelona particularly. Yeah, I really like Barcelona. It's tied with Sweden maybe.
Okay.
I really like Sweden too.
There you go.
Stockholm, amazing. It's
And
it's kind of like Australia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
why
it's,
I like it.
so it's very islandy, or is there is it like tropical weather? Or what's,
In Sweden?
I mean, you said Australia, so I'm not sure.
Oh, Australia.
Sweden
yeah.
and Australia.
So
are the same.
Australia is it's like a giant island. I wouldn't even call it an island really.
Okay.
But it's Sydney is it's on the coast, but it has everything. It has the best lifestyle you could ask for. I always want to be out.
Nice, nice.
The air is super fresh. The people are super friendly, super nice.
Right.
Best food. Oh my God. Don't even get me started on the food. There's a place called Haymarket in Sydney, which is like the food like center.
Wow.
And it's like super authentic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Got it.
Is the food like a little bit different there from here in America?
Yes.
Like, what would it be like? We would be like, what the heck are you eating?
I assume it's not organic.
It's like, it might not be organic, but it's just like you have people that like, they bring their culture and their food, and it's like the best of the best. And like Israel has like such great ingredients as well. And I don't know, it's like that hub I talked to you guys about Haymarket.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, there's like, I guess there's just so much competition there that like people have to be good.
Oh wow.
Got it.
You know, unlike here in like, let's just say Vegas. I mean, Vegas already has good food in America, considerably.
Yes.
Right.
But it's nowhere near.
Oh wow.
Australia.
Okay, we're visiting
that's
Australia.
Yeah.
We're definitely have to visit there because I think I remember telling you one of my best singers is Sia, and she's from Australia. So I'm like, I love that place just because
Oh
of
my
her.
God, he always has to mention.
I always have to mention it, but
Right.
you know, but that's amazing that you travel. I mean, what's your why to that? Why do you like traveling to so many places?
I think it goes back to college, I'd say.
Okay.
And I went to college when I was like 16, 17. I started college.
Oh, nice.
And then I remember my first year, I was doing like pre-med and stuff, and I was like just studying like all the time. And I was like, I really didn't like it, you know, and I was like, there must be more to life than just being in a library and like studying.
Yes, yes.
So I started looking at like travel videos and stuff, you know, and they were like, you know, living such, you know, like going to all these beautiful places and like seeing all these things. And I'm like, at that time, I hadn't been to many countries, you know.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I really want to do that. You know, that looks really cool. You know, it looks amazing, and I want to live a life where I can do that, like all the time. You know? So that was like my initial, like, I guess, motivation.
Okay.
You know, outside of like, I guess like my childhood where I couldn't really do much. Right. I lived in a very like, you know, turbulent, traumatic childhood. I'd say.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I started traveling. Like once I started making money, like, and I made like my first like. As soon as I started making my first like 10K, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna travel.
Okay.
Like,
so it was
you
were ready. You had your mindset already on traveling.
my mindset was like, okay, like I'm gonna make money so I can travel, do what I want, right? And then I started doing that, and then, I mean, like, you know, the rest is history, right? Like I started like, you know, like my first year I went to 15 countries.
Okay.
Holy shit.
You know, and then I started doing even more after that.
Right.
You know, and it was just amazing. Like I loved it so much.
That's so powerful too.
And it's amazing talking to us because we're people who travel, but I know when we told you this, you were probably like, what the heck? But we literally have never traveled outside the United States. Like I know people see us traveling all the time on Instagram or wherever, but it's like Puerto Rico or the Virgin Islands, and it's all in America. So I'm like craving traveling so bad, and especially after meeting you, because I'm like all these amazing places.
It's like now you just made it worse, man. You said 100.
Right.
We're nowhere near 30. Nowhere near 100 for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Jesus.
Definitely. And you know, these places, do they really like hold these energies that like, you know, you see on these like YouTubes, or like you know, have you been to like Egypt or these places where there's like high energy, you know?
I've been to amazing places with very different energy, and like especially in like South America, I would say. You go to like these places that, you know, like literally ancient civilizations used to live there, right? Like cultures from 4,000 years ago, 5,000 or more. Like who knows how long they actually were around. And I remember just being in like places like Machu Picchu, like Patagonia, in Bolivia, like the place I told you about before, like Salar de Uyuni. It's like the Salt Plains. It's like another planet, and you can really feel the, like, you know, I'm a very logical person, but I'm also like a big believer in energy and the universe and spirituality. And you can really feel that energy when you're there.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, it's very amazing.
And they're called the Salt Plains?
It's called, well, in their language, it's Salar de Uyuni. I don't know if I'm butchering it, so if you're Bolivian.
There you go,
But yeah, it's like it's like one of the largest salt plains in the world. And so when it rains, there's a reflection on the entire salt plain, and you can literally see your reflection. And it's across that, and it's super flat, so you can't even see the end of it.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And it literally looks like another planet. It's like you're on like Mars or something.
Wow.
You know, and it's incredible. Like I have pictures on my Instagram. It's
like like look it up on Instagram, YouTube, whatever. But it really does look how he's explaining it, and I was shocked because I was like, imagine being there in person. You know what I mean? So it's so amazing that you travel to all these places, and obviously it comes with really hard work. You can't just travel the world and say, I want to live in this place for 2-3 months and then go home and then I'm gonna go live here for 2-3 months. That takes like some money.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of hard work to get there. So maybe we could ask you a question from like where did your upbringing come from? Are you from like a really rich family? Are you like like
Yeah, so my family, so I actually found this out later when I was actually like a young adult, that we actually did have like some money growing up, but I never got like spoiled. Like it was, if anything, I thought I was poor the whole time.
Got it.
We had enough food on the table to eat and everything.
Yes.
But I was always like doing manual labor, working, whatever, and helping out with the family, like, business, whatever it was at that time. They were always bouncing from thing to thing. So I was no stranger to like hard work, like even from a young age.
Yeah.
Even going to college at 16.
Yeah.
That's like already pushing so hard even there.
Yeah, like it's funny because like I like to say I'm a lot more street smart than I am book smart.
Okay.
But I think for me, I think I've always just been naturally, probably genetic, like smart at whatever I set my mind to, I can do it.
Got it.
So in Australia, I was in one of like the top schools there, and I was in like the special classes for like the gifted people.
Oh wow.
So I was already learning college level material in like the 4th or 5th grade.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
And with other very gifted people, even maybe more gifted than me at books, right? So that was like the standard,
incredible.
Right? So like, when I came to America, it's
right.
It's not really like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a shift change.
Oh yeah,
compared to
definitely.
that.
Like I was learning, so I came here when I was 13, and I was learning stuff I had learned like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yes.
And I was like, what's going on?
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I was like just sleeping in class every day because it was so easy, and I got like 100 on every test.
Wow.
Like, I
My
literally
son does that, huh?
Yeah,
I literally bring like a pillow to class, and the
Oh
teachers
my
get mad.
God, no
like
way.
smack a ruler on my table.
Wow.
But you're still acing the class anyway.
Yeah, but I'm
It's crazy.
acing, and they got so mad they couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
'Cause I was acing the
Oh
class,
my God.
like all of them, and like. And it was only until I got to college where it was stuff that I hadn't learned before.
Okay, yes.
And then I actually had to try a bit.
Okay,
and like,
yeah.
And I did pre-med. Aced all pre-med stuff.
Wow.
Great.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's funny, like my haters now were like, haters, especially when I got started, were like, oh yeah, you probably failed pre-med, that's why you went into business and like all this other stuff.
Wow.
They always
But I'm
find
like,
something.
what, sorry?
People always find something. There.
Yeah, exactly. People like whether you're doing good or whether you're doing bad, people always find
Absolutely.
hate.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like there are insecurities of like why they're not doing more.
Correct.
Right.
And like you'll never get hate from someone who is above you or at the same level as you.
Right.
And that's what we love about you, because you actually, you're a perfect example of somebody that actually tried something. You always give it a shot, and then you're like, all right, maybe it didn't work out, and you try something different.
Yeah.
People need a pivot in their life, and you're really good at that.
Yeah.
And just like, you brought up, there's a story on your Instagram, you went from 0 to, what was it, Mike? It was from 0 to
7 figures.
7 figures,
Yeah,
right?
in 5 months.
In 5 months, right? So
That's so
talk to us
amazing.
about that story. That's insane, because, you're young. You're traveling the world, and you're like, hey, by the way, I went from 0 to 7 figures in 5 months.
Yeah.
How? Like, let's see if all you guys can understand. Like, we got this
'cause
young
that's,
dude.
That's amazing.
Right,
The
we got
time
the young
frame,
guy.
the number. Like,
yeah,
oh
and
my
he's
gosh.
making money like crazy in 5 months. So things can turn around for you really quickly.
Right.
Yeah, like I don't think people realize this, but we live in a day and age now where all the information's online. And it's good and bad, right? It's bad if you get distracted.
Right.
You have no discipline, you have no attention span, no focus. But there's no other time in history where anyone, including myself, could have become a millionaire in 5 months. It doesn't matter how hard you work. Like, it was almost impossible to do that.
Right.
But all the information's out there, all for free too. You don't even have to pay or whatever. Like, when I started,
Yes.
I was just looking at YouTube and Google.
Google, right?
People
Yeah.
always have this thing where it's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm like, you literally have Google. You have YouTube.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Right,
and now
right.
ChatGPT
And
too.
it's free.
Yeah, and it's all
Literally.
free.
Yeah.
It's all free. You literally don't have to pay someone or whatever
Yes.
to figure it out. It's just like it's hard cope.
Yeah.
It's an excuse to not do anything.
Right.
Right. Or like, and another excuse is like when people like see probably you guys and you guys are super successful. What you guys do? It's
my
like,
God,
oh, you
thank
guys
you.
probably got lucky, or
Right.
it's all these things. Oh, their daddy's rich, whatever.
Right,
Like,
right,
I've
yes.
got daddy's money so many times in
Yeah.
my life. Like,
Yes.
oh, you probably started with 50 mil.
Yeah,
like all
right,
this like
yeah.
random stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just hard cope. you know?
Yes.
But
Exactly.
yeah, like anyone could do anything nowadays. You just literally have to focus.
Right.
Like, and that is the biggest problem we have in this day and age with technology. Yes. Everyone's addicted to TikTok, Instagram, social media, like YouTube. Like, yeah, of course, TikTok doesn't help when you're scrolling it. Like, you know, oh, I didn't like this. 1 second later, boom, oh, boom, boom.
It's all cat videos, and people are just getting so lazy now.
Exactly. But if you can actually focus and you have that discipline to actually do something, right? You can change your life in a few months.
Wow,
it doesn't take that long.
So what did you do? What exactly is the action that you took to go from 0?
Like, you literally did this like on your own. Like, one day you're like, okay, like I'm gonna focus on this, which is Amazon wholesale.
Yes. So I started off. So I made my first mil doing Amazon. That was my first big thing.
Oh my God, congratulations, by the way.
Thank
like,
you
know what I mean? I know you probably get it so much, but that's just so amazing.
And it sounds easier than it probably is, or maybe it's not as easy. I don't know, but we always get talked about that. Like, oh, by the way, there's Amazon. You can make money off of that. We actually even have an influencing page that Amazon awarded us as influencers, so to say,
really?
which we already activated, but we don't use it at all because we're not in that business.
Right.
But I mean, I'm sure we would love to hear how exactly that works.
Yeah, exactly. So Amazon, as you said, it's hard and it's easy at the same time.
Okay.
It's easy as in, like, the process is easy to learn, but it's hard to do. If that makes sense. So I do Amazon wholesale, and it's all about relationships, right? It's having relationships and then getting capital. Right? Those are the two formulas, right? I started off building relationships, you know, so I'd be cold calling,
right?
Hundreds of cold calls a day,
way.
you know, like going hard,
right?
You know? I was working 20 to 22 hours a day. I don't really recommend that anymore.
Wow, okay.
Because I wasn't sleeping
hours.
really. I was like, I would literally get to exhaustion and then have like, I was living in like a $200 a month, like $250 a month, like house with like 5 other people.
Oh,
Got
wow.
it.
And I have like a mattress on the floor.
No
like,
way.
And as soon as I got tired, I'll just like roll on the mattress, like set a timer for like 30 minutes, like a nap.
Wow.
And then I'll get back to work as soon as I got up.
Wow.
It was like set up.
Okay,
mattress,
this is like
you
so
know?
Wow.
amazing.
And
This is like Elon
here?
Musk vibes, like
No,
yeah,
so
like Gab vibes.
Yeah, so that was
Like, oh my God.
I was still in college, and I was doing that for months. Like
Okay.
my first 5 months, like I was just working all the time. Like I cut off, you know, before that I was a little bit of a partier, you know, and I cut off all my partying friends, all that
There you
stuff.
go.
I
Yes.
surrounded myself with new people, a new circle. I had a lot of like, you know, online people, you know, that I would listen to while I'm working.
Yes.
And I went from like, you know, kind of like a party fuck boy to like, you know, just super business oriented in like a few months, you know, because every day, like while I was working, I'll just be listening to millionaires, billionaires, you know, like podcast interviews, audiobooks,
Right.
you know, really ingraining it into my brain, like all the paradigm shifts that you need to become successful.
Yes.
And it's crazy because you're like speaking in echoes. People already know this stuff. They hear it all over the place, but they still do nothing. They just like complain and say, well, you know, I'll do it next time. Or maybe I'll wait. Like in our market, we're in real estate, right? So ours is like, I'll wait to buy next year when the rates drop.
Right.
How many times have we heard that, right?
Exactly.
We've heard that so many years. And it's
times.
like, and then they miss the boat, right? Same
Right.
thing goes for maybe Amazon. Maybe it's not here to last for everybody. Maybe some people need to get on it and understand how the campaign works and then struggle a little bit like you did. Like, all right, I'm going to give it all I got for 5 months and just struggle, sleep for 2 hours.
Right.
I mean, which is a little insane, let's be real, but let's just say even 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
But you pulled it through and that's the whole thing. Like you didn't just let something you didn't let it go. You were just like, I can't give up. I'm going to do something about my future and create something huge. And that's impactful, you know?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's having a vision of what you want your life to look like, right? Like imagine like, you know, whenever people ask me for advice, and I've talked about this on other podcasts, it's like, imagine what your dream life looks like. Like, you know, like and think about like your perfect, like normal day, not like you know, you go like skydiving and then you like go on a helicopter and then all this other stuff. Like, no, think of like your perfect normal day. Like where do you live? Like, you know, like who are you with, right? What type of experiences do you have? Like what do you have in your house? Like, you know, like and how much does that cost, right? Like does it, you know, for everyone it's different. For some people it might be 5K a month. For some people it might be 50K a month.
Right.
For some people it might be 500K a month. Right. It all depends on like your benchmark, right? Of what your standard is and what you want your dream life to look like, and then you reverse engineer that. Okay, like say it's 500K a month, like the high example, right? How do I make 500K a month, right? Okay, it's probably not gonna be at a 9-to-5 job,
right?
Most likely.
Let's be real,
you
right?
know, let's be real. Like you're not gonna make $6 million a year at most 9-to-5 jobs,
right?
If anyone has one, I'll look into it. Right?
You know,
No. But you know, it's most likely something with business, entrepreneurship, exactly, like creating your own thing, right?
Yeah.
And then, okay, like go on Google. You know, whatever other successful people have done.
Exactly.
Right.
Like you don't have to remake the wheel.
Yes.
There's already lots of multimillionaires, self-made,
Right.
multi-billionaires.
Like the
self-made.
cheat codes are there.
All the cheat codes are there. You just have to look for them.
They just repeat what already works. Just keep doing it over and over. I even hear that there's even things with social media where if you do something and it's trending, you might as well just repeat the whole thing because it's already such a trending vibe that if you do it and repeat it, you'll be as successful as, or get as much content or leads or whatever your goal is. Like in your case, you know, with Amazon, maybe you're getting leads from that to help you build your business more. And you're doing just something repetitively that does work.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty awesome. People just don't do that. They want to create something new. Like you said, reinvent the wheel where the wheel didn't need to be changed. It's already moving.
Yeah, it's already moving. And once you get good at that wheel, you can put your own twist on it. Right. You know, like I do things now that nobody else really does in my business.
Yes.
Right. But I started off, you know, learning from anyone, everyone.
Wow.
You know?
So it was literally that 5 months you were doing YouTubes, you were Googling things. Also, you were creating your own business by doing the cold calling and just going all in. On the time that you had, sleeping 2 hours in that formula for the 5 months that you were doing it, you know, keeping away from the partying and the noise on any type of social media. I'm sure you probably were never even on it because you were just working the whole time.
Yes.
That's what truly bring you to that first, you know, the millions that you were talking about.
Yes. And it's having that discipline to not do those things, right, that seem easy in the moment.
Yes.
Right. And like, say, for example, Instagram, right? Like, especially when I first started, like I'd set a timer if I did want to go to Instagram and just like post like my progress, right?
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Because my whole journey is documented. When people say like, oh, like he doesn't actually make this much.
Yes.
Oh, he doesn't, like there's no way he's this young and he doesn't. Everything's documented. From when made my first $100 to when I made my first 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, mil, 10 mil.
Amazing.
It's all on Instagram, all documented. You can see my entire journey.
Okay, yes.
Right. And I'll literally set a timer for like 5 minutes. Right. Okay, I'm not spending more than 5 minutes on Instagram, and I'm not consuming content. I'm literally just
for you to
posting my own content.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So I can document that journey.
Yes.
Right. And maybe inspire someone. Right. Because I had a lot of other college friends, you know, who you know saw me go from,
Of course.
like.
And documenting it.
Yeah, documenting.
Yes.
Like, you know, hard proof. You know.
Right.
You know. And they saw me go from like dead broke, like you know, I was
on a mattress.
On a mattress, on the floor,
Yeah.
like disgusting place.
Oh
like,
my God.
I was living like the hood, you know.
Wow. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And not a bit to laugh, but holy shit.
no, but it was disgusting.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I go from that, you know, to you know everything that I have now, right?
Wow.
And it's all there.
Amazing.
I also
Amazing.
heard, and I'm pivoting a little bit right now. I also heard you were, you had like a fashion line of some kind, right?
Yes.
So talk to us about that. Whatever happened with that?
Yeah. So before I went to Amazon, I was doing Shopify, and I had a few brands that I started. I didn't have as much success with those as I had with Amazon, right? And through a lot of like, you know, I was just learning about e-commerce and everything, and Shopify was like the first avenue, I'd say. That's how I actually made. I made a little bit of money with it. I made my first like few $1,000s with like Shopify or whatever. But like I was doing like Facebook ads, I was doing Shopify, but I lost like my ad data. It was called the Facebook Pixel. I don't know if you guys know about that, but it pretty much stores all your audience data.
No.
Facebook banned me. And I was like, and then I like pretty much went back down to zero because like they were like, you know, like Shopify was holding my money, all this other stuff. So I literally had like, you know, at that time, like after the Shopify thing, I had a little bit of success.
Got it.
So it made me believe in it, right? That it was possible to make money online.
Got it.
And I'll actually tell a story, like a quick one. I remember when I made my first sale, I sold a. It was like a general store. I sold like a unicorn keychain.
Oh my God!
For like
no way.
$8.
Oh wow!
You know, and that was my first ever sale online.
Oh
on
wow!
Okay.
Anything.
No way!
That's the coolest.
Okay,
little
you're
thing.
never gonna forget that
Unicorn keychain.
I
but-
want one. Right? Like you have to get a hold of that keychain.
Yeah,
one day.
yeah,
Like,
it was like-
this was like my start.
Yeah, it
Right?
was like,
You know?
yeah, it was literally like
Yeah.
I sold it for like $7.95.
Oh wow!
And the cost was like $1 to like source
Wow.
it, you know. But that was like my first ever sale.
Oh my God! So like from selling unicorn keychains, living on mattresses to tens of millions of dollars, but again, all from hard work. And you know, like you said, there's gonna be haters out there that think otherwise, or it's parents' money or whatever it is. But again, all this is documented. You know what I mean? You're obviously a good person. You know, we know that. And if people don't know that, how old are you again?
I'm 27.
Oh my God, this is like so incredible.
I mean, exactly. So somebody 27 has already a documented journey. I mean, you should probably already write a book already. I mean, based on your story.
I actually started writing like a memoir.
Okay, let's go.
I need to work on it more, but I have a few pages down.
Yes, I'm sure everybody wants to hear the full story of everything. I know today we only have you for like an hour, but you know, the book will tell, I'm sure.
It will tell a lot.
You know,
I feel like it's actually really hard to write a memoir if you have like a very traumatic past.
Yes.
'Cause I remember, like, you know, you start at the beginning, right?
Right.
With every like memoir you read or whatever, they talk about like their childhood.
Right.
And like I went through a very traumatic childhood, I'd say. You know, very abusive father, you know, a very manipulative, toxic mother, right? And when you write a memoir, you like you start to remember everything.
Right.
And it's actually very hard to bring it all out.
Yeah.
You know, and then put it on a page because you have to condense it concisely. But you feel all the emotions you used to feel.
Wow.
Right. And it takes a lot of, what's the word for it? Like work. You know, to
definitely
to, you know, just put it all out on a page.
You're opening up an old wound that
it's old wounds. And I noticed that when I started writing my memoir, I was like messed up for like a few days.
Oh, wow.
Like after writing like a few pages, I was like, damn. I was like processing everything.
Right.
You know, and I was like, damn. Like,
and I'm sure because you get so busy in your work that you do right now, and you know these type of things that happen in our past, you know, you forget about it. You know, you're working so much, you're like, I'm gonna push this out of my life.
Yes.
And then, like you said, you bring up this memoir. I actually was gonna ask you, well, did it help you because you got to kind of like release it? But again, like you just said, it was actually pretty tough.
It helps and it doesn't help.
Got it.
It helps in the way that, you know, you bring it out, but then it's like, okay, like now I have to like, it's like you have to recover from it, you know? And like I have businesses to run. I don't have time to like be processing everything. So like for me, like I, you know, because you either want to do something or you don't, right? So for now, like I'm just not going to do it until my business is at a place I want it to be.
Okay.
And then I don't, you know, I sell my businesses. You know, I want to be a billionaire.
There you go.
You know?
Yes.
And then once I achieve that, then I'll like have all this like free bandwidth.
Right.
To write.
If you need to take that time to
and take like a year maybe.
Yes.
Like travel and like really process everything.
That makes sense because a lot of writers do that. They like take time. They take like a year just to write their book. They really go all in.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you really have to be so focused and not all the work you're doing right now. There's no way you would be exhausted to the extreme, you know?
Exactly.
So that's like a great idea to take some
and all
time
that determination you have. I mean, that's so hard too, because I mean, we bled, everybody bleeds a little bit. I'm sure most people don't wake up and it's like, oh, I woke up at a perfect house. Everything was perfect. My mom and dad stayed married. Who knows what, right?
And you shared with us, you know, a little bit. And if I could just touch on that a little bit, you know,
Go ahead.
you know, how did, you know, there was some abuse in your life and, you know, how did you overcome these things? Because I know a lot of our viewers, I'm sure they go through this as well. You know, we have our stories as well, but like, how did you get over that and become the strong-minded person you are today? Because most people, it's hard for them to get over that and they can't fight through it. And if they do, you know, they're not pushing like you do to be this amazing billionaire, hardworking person. If anything, they get through it, but they're not like, okay, let me just keep going.
Or they'll make it an excuse to not work as hard because they're like, well, you know what? If shit happens to me, I'm just gonna let myself just sit there.
Exactly. Like people have like this woe is me victim mentality. Like because of my past, I can't make my future better or my present. Right. And there's a saying where the more personal the problem, the more universal it is. Right. I used to think like, oh yeah, like me having a traumatic, you know, childhood or whatever. It's like, oh, like no one else has gone through something like that, like whatever. But as I, you know, explored the world, experienced cultures, talked to more people, it's actually very prevalent. Like a lot of people have gone through such traumatic things, but they let it hold them back rather than turning into a positive and using it as fuel.
Right? Yes, you know,
because I had a lot of fuel from my past. Like it really lit a fire under me, I'd say. You know, and I, instead of being like, oh, like, you know, life happened to me, you know, I want to happen to life. You know, I want to create my own reality, right, of what is possible.
Wow.
Right. And I used it as my motivation to work, you know, 20, 22 hours a day. Without that, I might not be as successful as I am now, right?
Wow.
Imagine if, I actually think like maybe life would have turned out differently if I didn't go through a traumatic childhood.
No, absolutely.
Right. Like everything was perfect.
And that's a hard statement, but it's so true. You know what I mean? So for some people, they might be thinking like, oh, well, maybe like you didn't have to go through that, but you know, everyone goes through their own thing. And again, you could even feel it like maybe it was just meant to be. You know what I mean?
And you're still really young too. Like, you know, have you yet experienced a very bad part of your life where you're already here? Because you're 27. So let's just say things are moving along. You're starting to make your money. Have you had a failure situation yet happen in your progress, right? Because a lot of times, like we failed when you're progressing, then you fail. And you progress again, and then you fail, right? You keep growing, but you fall a little bit here
and actually, before you answer that, just remember everyone, like if you're going through something hard or you went through abuse or you know what I mean, use it as fuel, like Mr. Gav said here, because, you know, I've been through my times too, you know, you and we all are those individuals that will use that as our fuel. You know what I mean? I literally grew up in, I know I say this on all my podcasts, but you know, in the high desert, it's literally a desert where your background is like a desert. You know what I mean? And that's like, that was fuel for me to be like, you know, exactly. The snakes and the cactus. And, but that, you know, those snakes and cactuses, they made me fueled up, you know, and I'm like, you know, now I'm in cities all around the world, in Vegas, here in Vegas and Beverly Hills and, you know, Florida, New York, and now I'm not in, you know, playing with the snakes in the fields and all that, but it was because we used it as fuel. So like, thank you for sharing that with our audience, because I know so many of you out there, I'm sure, are going through something, and just use it for fuel. It's that easy, you know, you just push yourself and, you know, go through.
So back to the question, did you have, or have you experienced a failure situation yet?
Many failures. And it's so cliche, right? You always hear like successful people who are self-made talk about like all their failures. Right. But it's so true. Like whenever you try something and you're self-made, it's not always like a straight line up.
Right.
It's like zigzags.
Yes.
But it's always trending up. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
You know?
Yes.
Like you make your first 10K, but then you go back down to zero.
Okay.
Make your first mil, you might go back down to zero or like close to it.
Exactly.
Right.
You know? And I went through so many times where, you know, I made a mil, then I, you know, went back down to 100K.
Right.
You know, like I lost like 90% of my net worth, whatever.
Yes.
Then, you know, you make 10 mil,
Right.
you lose like 8 mil, right? But it's always trending up.
Right.
Right. And I mean, I can talk about an example where like one of my bigger ones, right?
Please.
And yeah, this was when I made my first like 10 mil. Like I had 10 mil, like, you know, liquid net worth, whatever.
Amazing.
And I was like, okay, I want to push to 100, you know.
Yeah.
And you start to take on like big risks.
Right.
This is so amazing.
Like bigger than you probably should, right? But like maybe I just have like that personality, like a lot of people do who are in this space of like risk takers.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, like
That sounds like us.
Yes,
right. Like
risk
if you look at billionaires,
Yes.
like they have extremely high risk tolerance. They take massive risks.
Right.
Correct.
And I've done so many of that in my life. Like
Yes.
I've bet my entire net worth on things.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
love it.
Like I remember, you know, I was doing wholesale FBA, and I put in a purchase order, like inventory, like buying a lot of inventory.
Yes.
And I put in like 90% of my net worth, like 9 mil.
Wow. Oh my god.
Oh wow.
You know, into inventory.
Okay.
And it was a lot, you know.
Okay,
and I
that's
was
a
like
lot.
stressed out the whole time while I was doing it. But you know, I believed it was the right play. I was like, okay, like this is, you know, I have an edge in this play. And it was like during Q4, like, you know, October,
Yes.
November, December.
Right.
I'm like, this is gonna sell out.
Right. The good months.
Yeah, the good months.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just say that my forecasting or my projections were off because, and it wasn't even really like something that I did. It was just like competitors came in and stuff, and then I didn't sell as much as I thought I would. So I was left with all this inventory that just, you know, wouldn't, you know, didn't sell.
Okay.
So like I had all my, like most of my net worth tied up in all this inventory.
Right.
You can't sell it because it was all like seasonal stuff. I'd have to wait until next year, but then all that money's tied up.
Of course.
Right. So it's like, what I do? Do I liquidate? Do I, you know, whatever, you know, do I sell it to somebody else or whatever? And yeah, and like my Amazon account, like, you know, started like going down because of all the inventory that was stuck. And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to like dispose of your inventory if you don't like move it out. And I'm like,
Oh,
damn,
wow.
like, I don't want to like,
gosh.
I don't want to lose like 6 mil with the inventory.
Oh my
whatever,
God.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Jeez.
yeah. And like, I managed to like figure it out and everything, but in that deal, you know, like that thing, that cost me like 5 mil. You know?
Wow.
And I lost, and I was stressed, you know.
my god.
Such a shareable story because I mean we
That's
we
huge
literally
loss.
I mean
Huge
that
loss,
literally happened to us as well. Like in the last couple of years, we went
Yeah.
through some insane losses, but we've won a lot and earned a lot, and then built a lot. Actually,
honest,
our infrastructure is stronger even through the failures.
Yes.
But we've definitely monetized and lost some, and then rebuilt. But I like how you share that, because you're 27 and you haven't even hit anywhere in your life where you're like, it's that time where you have to stop taking risks.
Yes.
You're just like, all right, I lost 10 million. Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Exactly.
Because now you're more focused on, all right, I already know what I did wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. Like many people that are watching, there are people that are, oh, I lost my money. And then they stay focused on the problem.
Yes.
Oh, I lost. I can't try this again. And now they go, because we have a lot of people that we know, they tried working in real estate, or they tried doing Amazon. They tried doing something huge. And now guess what they're doing? 9 to 5 jobs.
Yep.
Right.
Working part-time somewhere at Burger
When
King or
kind of
something,
like
right?
it just takes us back to the beginning of the podcast when you said you just need to focus, you just need to go all in.
Yes.
If you honestly, you know, I don't think it's crazy. If you need to sleep only 2 hours, I think sleep only 2 hours. Like make it happen. And if it takes 5 months of doing that, then do that. You know what I mean? That's like 1%, 1%er mindset. You know what I mean? And I think anyone can get there, but you have to put in the calculations that you did and the hard work. You know what I mean? And most people don't want to do that. You know,
It's very true. It's so easy to be lazy.
It's so easy. Like being lazy is the easiest thing in the world. And if you don't catch yourself, you can be lazy. Like I can, even to this day, like it's very easy for me to be lazy. Just like, oh, you know, I've already made it or whatever. Like I don't have to work.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
But I still work.
Exactly. Oh my God.
It's like, why am I putting like so many hours when I've, you know, like I'd never need to work again if I wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like then. But if you stop working, like, what's your purpose?
Right.
Like we as men, right? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're just gonna wake up and do nothing?
Yes.
You know?
So
Like-
could we ask you about that? Like, are you, like, you're so young, you can't, I mean, you can retire, literally, like you just said. So is there a time in your life where you feel like, oh, like, I am going to not going to work? Like, is that something? Or because I feel your concept, it's like, once you do stop, it's like, what are you doing now? You know what I mean? Like, you always want to be doing something, or I feel like you have to be growing or you're dying, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like,
That's true.
It's very true. Like you're either in an upward spiral or downward spiral. You never stay the same, right? So for me right now, I want to become a billionaire first.
Yes.
And I project another like 3 to 4 years. I'd
Amazing.
say.
Okay. Amazing.
And once I achieve that, maybe I'll take some time off. Who knows? Maybe I'll like take one day off and be like, oh wait, okay, I'm good.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
love that. Right.
or whatever, right?
Yes.
But right now that's the main focus.
Okay.
And then who knows? Like, you know, I might go into like, you know, more investing, like more like, you know, angel investments, VC,
Amazing.
You know, things like
Yes.
that.
Maybe
right?
real
Like,
estate.
even investing in real estate.
Yeah.
You know,
Right,
like,
right.
Because I know a lot of billionaires, you know, put their money into a lot of real estate.
Correct.
you know,
Right.
So it's just a way to like grow your wealth without being too hands-on and like having to maintain a business and everything like that. Right. So I'm gonna.
But
look
that's
into those
still work
avenues.
though, you know, and that's
Right.
still
That's
work.
still
and
work.
You're still gonna be like, you know, putting in that work every day, which is gonna keep your mind going. So again,
Correct.
you'll be on that upward spiral always, which you know, not everybody has that mindset. You know, maybe some people
Right.
are like, I'm gonna be done at this age, and I'm done. Like I'm not dealing with. Some people are like, I'm not gonna deal with real estate, or I'm not gonna be dealing with like investing or any of this stuff because it's too much for them.
Right.
But that mindset that you have to just keep going is so powerful because I feel like when I'm older too, I don't want to be just like sitting there not having my mind moving because again, then you're going downward.
Become like
Yes.
more like networking, right? I'd say, you know, when you do become like a billionaire, it's more just you're just meeting other billionaires,
Right.
doing like, you know, more
Right.
passive investments, things like that. So also be
Yes.
working,
Right.
but it'll be a more like relaxed
Exactly.
sort of work.
You know what I
And that
see-
makes sense.
You know, it's funny. I'm already like seeing your future, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think you should be investing in, again, it's just up to you, but
Yeah.
we do a lot in the, we've been looking into properties in Beverly Hills. Obviously, I know it sounds crazy and nobody can really buy there, but that's what they think. The problem is it's all in niche financing, knowing exactly how to create the formula. And in order for people to make their money and capitalize very quickly. So everybody looks at small time. Hey, let me do a small little flip for 50 grand, make 75 grand on maybe some wholesale thing.
Yeah.
But they can buy something very expensive for like $5 or $10 million, which might be something for you.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, I'll buy this property, but you have to get the right financing, come in with a very, very, very little down and get the seller to help you finance. And there's methods for individuals like you that have more capital to not lose it on very huge expensive things like in your inventory thing situation that you brought up, where you can leave the money there, it builds equity, and then you can convert it into money and repeat the cycle over and over, which is why a lot of billionaires are making this tremendous amount of money on real estate because they're doing huge risk on property. But guess what? Properties never lose money.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like inventory. It's not like little things that you can buy that run out of value, or even regular cars versus like expensive vehicles. They lose value, but real estate doesn't. Yeah, they go up and down, but they always, like you said, they always trend up no matter what.
Yes.
So those are really nice things to know, because there's so many different ways of taking risks without really losing too much. But at the end, you lose a little, but you gain more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I've heard of this because I have a lot of friends in real estate as well, and they've told me all the little ins and outs, like how like you buy one property, then you use that as like collateral or leverage to buy another one, and they just keep doing that
over and over
again, and making and like if you buy in good locations, good uptrending markets, you know, like the average real estate in like Sydney, for example, like goes like doubles every like 5 years.
Amazing.
And because it's, you know, always rich people coming in, especially ultra luxury like apartments and penthouses and stuff like that in the best areas. People don't care how much they spend, like rich people. They're like, oh, 10 mil, 20, 30.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's easy.
Yes.
So I already have like started to look into it.
Amazing.
Yeah. But for me, it's like, I just like to focus on one thing at a time.
Right.
And I'm just very dialed in, you know, like, because there's a lot of shiny object stuff, right?
Yeah.
You see people bounce from like one thing to another.
Always.
Crypto, NFTs, blah, blah, shitcoins, you know, all this other stuff, right? But I found that if you just put all your attention into one thing, sure, you might miss out on a mil on a crypto or NFT, or maybe you'll lose it all. Who knows? Right?
True.
Yeah, right. Like
you never know.
I'm sure we've all lost money here in crypto or something like that. I've lost a lot of money in crypto too. But you know, you just, instead of doing that and putting your attention to that, just focus on your business, and that investment is your business, and you 10x your business.
That's right.
By focusing all your time, all your attention into this one thing. Right. Like, sure, like I'm invested in like little things with like friends and stuff, and like put like, you know, 50K here, 100K here, or whatever. And, like, but I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to like actually learn their business.
It's
you know,
just,
it's just hands off.
You know?
But I've done that before. But with other things, like, you should be putting the majority of your money back into your business and scaling and growing, because that's what you know.
Exactly.
That's like the most guaranteed return you can get.
That's such great value, because it's exactly what we do, right? Like every time we get money, we're like, he's like, where's the money? You're like, oh, I put it back in business. He's like, what do you mean?
I'm like, what
do you mean?
Like, I was like, what happened to the money? He's like, it's gone, dude. Like, it's spent. Like, we put it back in the business. So I like that value, because that's the problem people have. They're like, oh, they want to see the money. They want to see the zeros in their bank account. And I'm like, if I see zeros, that means I'm not working the money.
I think at one point we were like, we were hanging out with Brad Lee, and we had, this was many years back, we had like literally 10K in our bank. And we thought like we had all kinds of money, so we were like, "Oh, we have 10,000 in our bank."
We're balling.
We even like told Bradley, we were like, "Oh, like we have 10K in our bank. Like, should we keep saving or whatever?" He's like, "Why do you have the money in your bank? Go spend it, invest it, and make it into 100,000." I swear, like we went back that day and it turned it into 100, 1 million, and we were like, when we saw him like maybe 2 years later, I was like, "Hey, by the way, like we did go spend that 10K. Now we're like in the, you know what I mean?" So.
Yeah, that's huge value, man. Like it's crazy how people just don't do that.
Right.
You know, people want to have that savings.
And I think what
like,
we learned from you today is that you know, you home in on, you know, when you go all in. You know what I mean? So I want to go back just a little bit really quick. So I think you were even like a professional tennis player, correct?
Yes.
So even that alone, like you literally did tennis, you went all in, you became professional. Yeah. You literally went all in when it came to your, is it your doctors? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, pre-med.
Pre-med.
I did pre-med, I went all in.
And you went all in, and then it just showed, you know, when you go all in, what happened, you're going to be that professional, you're going to be that professional tennis player.
Yes.
Like if anybody's watching, like you're 27 years old, and all you're doing is really going all in, you know, focusing on that one thing at that one time. Like I'm sure tennis, when it was tennis, it was tennis. Oh, yeah. Right. And when your doctors, like you said, you were, it was that, you know,
besides the sleep,
right.
Besides the occasional sleep. Yeah.
And then now the Amazon, you know, let's fast forward to today's time. I mean, you know, you told me times where you are literally working until I believe like 4 or 5 in the morning, 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you know, I'm going to get, you know, a couple hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep. And then you're working all the way again. So now you're still going all in.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be one of our hugest lessons that we learned today, and anybody who's watching.
Right.
Because you can truly become whatever you like if you just really just focus and go on all in. That's just amazing.
Yeah, like some people think like, oh, I'm in this situation and I'm not going to go all in because I'm working this 9 to 5 or I'm working this little business and I don't see the potential in it. Right. So I'm going to half-ass it.
Right.
No, but you're building the habit of half-assing things. So even when you do get the opportunity, you get everything you could ask for. You get the roadmap to success.
Yes.
You're going to still half-ass it because you are accustomed to going half-ass.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Instead of building the habit of going all in.
Yes.
Whatever you do.
I love that.
Such great value too,
that.
because one of the things we've taught some of our people that we're training is we tell them the value of your time is so important and you can't get it back once it's gone.
Yes.
But we also educate them on the fact is, and I'll use you as an example. You said 5 months, you went from 0 to seven digits, right? If people can only focus all their energy from maybe lack of sleep, maybe they need to be one less day at the gym, even talk to their kids. Like we're parents. So even people that are out there that have kids, they're like, hey, talk to your son or daughter and say, hey, for the next 12 months, you might not see me.
Yeah.
But for the rest of your life after that, you will.
Yeah.
But give me 1 year of hard work, right?
Yeah.
I know it's a difficult thing. We've had these
difficult.
conversations.
Right.
Yes.
You're not going to see me home.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up at midnight because I'm working outside the office doing all this stuff. And I'm going to build something so that I can provide for your future, right? And people are afraid of, oh, but my daughter or my son, they might not get my parenting. Well, they're not going to have you for the rest of your life. If you keep repeating over and over and over and over your 9 to 5, right? So
and if you're working like really hard hours like that, and you're really getting that income because of how you're going all in, you can get help to help watch your children. And again, is it hard? Yes, but you know what I mean. We're growing our family or our lives, so then they can see that, and then they can grow from it, and then you're kind of teaching that lesson of you have to go all in. You know what I mean? And if we don't do that now, then our children might not see that, and then if they don't go all in, then where's our generation gonna go? You know what I mean?
Right. And it's like the inspiration too. Like your son or your daughter will see, oh, my dad works this hard to provide me a better life, and I want to do that for my future kids. Right? And you create this positive cycle rather than you half-ass. If you're not in the position you want, you're half-assing your entire life, and they just see you half-assing your literally for 40 years, 50 years, whatever. Right. And then they're gonna do the same thing. Because you lead by example. It doesn't matter what you say.
Yes.
Right. It's all about, oh, how does dad live his life?
Exactly.
Right?
What they see, what
You
they
know,
see.
It's all about what they see.
Yes.
You can tell them like, hey, work hard, but go for it.
Yeah.
Live your dream.
Exactly.
And, like they see you and you're like miserable. And
And
they're like, oh, like what's going on here? You know. So I say like when you do good for yourself, you're doing good for everyone around you, right? Because you can provide them with opportunity, you provide them with inspiration.
Yes.
You're leading by example.
Right. Powerful.
What's all this is such great energy, you know, and I'll talk to you about the books you've read, but let's go into something pretty deep if you're comfortable with this.
Sure.
But what is something that has happened to you, at least maybe in the recent, let's just say maybe 10 years, that has really affected you emotionally? Something that has just the biggest failure or the biggest mental challenge you've had in the last 10 years, where something just you didn't think you can get out of it.
Damn, that is really. It's hard to say. If we go on the negative side, I'd say like going back down to zero like multiple times throughout my journey, and then building back from scratch, and like dropping your lifestyle, dropping everything, and like just rebuilding like the empire, rebuilding the businesses from scratch. It's very humbling, you know, and like knowing that success isn't given to you. You have to earn it every single day. Right, all because you're a millionaire now doesn't mean you're gonna be a millionaire 6 months from now.
Right,
you could lose it all. So you're always putting the work, never taking your foot off the gas. Because there's been times in my life where I have taken my foot off the gas. I start to chill a little bit. I start to let's just not work, and then everything goes down. There's been times where like I go from like millionaire, back down to like living in shit places again, and just in rebuilding the businesses. And I'm like, damn, like I never want to feel this again, because it's very I feel like once you're already at that stage, like going back down is like the worst feeling in the world. Like you can't buy what you want, you can't live where you want, you can't do what you want.
So true.
And like my highest value in life is like freedom, right? To do what I want all the time, right? Like I didn't work this hard, to not do what I want, right? But me putting that on myself is the worst feeling in the world. Like, damn, like, why did I do that? Why did I take my foot off the gas when I had all that momentum?
Yeah.
Like, that's why when you're crushing in life, keep fucking going.
Yeah.
You know, because it's gonna 10x, 100x.
Right.
You know, you take your foot off the gas, you can go down to 0.
Right.
You know, like, that's the best time. Like, when people first get their initial success, a lot of people chill.
Yeah.
You know, I would recommend people, instead of chilling, that should be your cue to go even harder, because now you
And
have
I think,
momentum.
and I think that's what we
Yes,
did
yes.
before. Actually, we hit our when we hit our first million, we did chill a little bit, and we started spending a little bit more sporadically.
Yeah.
Because we're like, hey, we're living on the top of the hill.
we can afford it.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
We got these
Yeah.
cars, this real estate. We're
Yeah.
doing good, and then you realize like, damn, what do we do wrong?
But that hits so hard when you said, like, I literally felt that in my heart, like,
Yeah.
because you know we have been also to the top, to the bottom, to the top, but I like your struggle. The hard time is like going back up, right? Like, so that little climb is like knowing that you were there before. And now you have to climb it again. Like those little months or however long it takes can be so hard on you.
Yes.
Like, so I know what you mean. And so when you said, you know, to the audience right now, to just keep grinding and don't mess that up, like don't lose that momentum. Please listen to Mr. Gab, because that feeling when you're climbing back up is one of the hardest feelings ever. Like, you just, sometimes you just want to fall apart, but you can't because you know what the top looks like. And if you don't get back there, you're always going to be in that feeling of like, I lost it all. You know what I mean? So,
and I agree that it's harder too.
You know?
It's definitely harder going from when you lost it and back up versus when you're already at 0.
Yes.
Because when you're at 0, you're okay. You're kind of
Right.
We'll see where
You're
we
cool.
go.
Yeah,
You're
you have nothing to lose.
You have
Right.
nothing to lose.
Yeah. You're like,
But when
okay,
you've lost
I'm
it,
good.
you're like,
Yeah.
I've lost it, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
such a different way of thinking to things.
Yeah, and
you
like
know?
a lot of people like give up too.
Yes.
Like when they like, you know, were a millionaire, then now they're like broke.
Right.
They're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And then you just see like these people who it did happen to them, and they just have like this like dead look in their eyes, like they lost their
right.
dream. You know, they don't have like that
my
energy
God.
anymore.
Yeah,
there's even
we know
some people
like
that are their ego even overbeats the fact that they've actually lost everything and still live that same life of like, well, I'm still you know, on top of the world, and I'm still this person that is executed. But I'm like, dude, like, humble yourself now. Now it's time to humble and bring yourself back down and realize, all right, things didn't work out, and let me rebuild from here so that things come out better.
Right.
Because I think one of the biggest examples we've learned, which is one of the reasons we left one of our own companies, is, and I'm not sure if you left companies, is we realized that when you lose things or things have changed not to your benefit, you have to pivot backwards, take a couple of steps back, and then see what you see and say, all right, how do I put something in perspective differently so things don't come out to be bad again? And then you change your lifestyle and then make it better, right?
Yes.
I'm sure you've done that for yourself as well, you know?
You do have to drop the ego and pride, right? That is stopping you from doing things that you think are below your pay grade to get back to where you were, you know? And it's a hard pill to swallow.
Yes.
Right? It's
Oh
like,
my
oh,
God.
I don't want to do this.
Right.
Like, this is beneath me.
Yes.
You can't think like that.
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
when you're
exactly.
when you're back to being at 0, right? And yeah, it's one or the other way, right? A lot of people go, but no, it's like, just keep at it. You'll get back to where you were even faster than you did before, right? Because you already know everything. You've already become a millionaire, self-made.
Very true.
Right?
Very true.
So,
I love that.
so you kind of answered the question earlier, and I know we're almost done with our podcast, but a question that I want to ask you is, you kind of brought it up. You said something about billions, and I love the word billions. Just gives me
We love that word. No.
But it also is too much in Texas for some people. I've talked to people that are like, I don't want that kind of money. Like, it's too much.
Right.
too much.
Like, I get more problems. Which, let's be real.
I was like, it's
$1
not
billion
enough,
is
actually.
more problems,
I was
right?
like, it's not enough.
It's not even enough money, honestly, depending on your expenses.
Is it enough?
Yeah, I was like, it's not enough. Sorry.
You want to be your own Federal Reserve, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe
right.
not ours, because ours is literally negative right now. But
Yeah.
Oh my
but
God, for real.
so in 5 years, you
Right.
know, you're 27. Let's even make it 30 when you're 30 years old, because that's 3 years from now.
Yes.
Okay.
In 3 years, what do you? If you were to see yourself in the mirror, what does the 3 years of you look like? What is going to happen? What has already progressed in your future?
So in the next 3 years, I just want to continue what I'm doing, keep scaling, keep going hard on what I'm doing, become a billionaire, and then from there, like, I mean, I talked about it before. Like, I just want to maybe step back a little bit and just get a bird's eye view again. You know, like, whenever I go hit that milestone or whatever, I like to just reflect.
Amazing.
And okay, like, I've accomplished my goal. Okay, like, what do I want to do next now? You know, a lot of times, like, I just go by myself into like a random mountain somewhere, into a random country or wherever, and like, I just, like, you know, really, like, you know, jot things down. Like, I have like a journal or notebook or whatever. I'm like, okay, and like, I'm just there for like, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever, just in nature or whatever. And I really think about what I want my next goal to look like, right? And I don't know that yet. Like when I hit my first, like, I thought I'd be happy with a mill, when I made my first mill. I'm like, okay, like I'll be set for life.
Right.
Like I'll probably retire. But then when I hit that, it's like, oh no, like,
right.
How do I get to that next level?
Exactly.
So who knows? Like, like I really just want to achieve my potential, right? And do the most I can, and push for it in every single avenue of my life. Finances, money that we've been talking about, that's just one aspect of life.
Right.
There's other avenues to get good at.
Right.
Like really take care of your health, because without health you have nothing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You give up all your money to be healthy.
Right.
When you're sick.
Yes.
Yes. What are your relationships like? Right.
Right.
There's different avenues that you can go in.
Definitely.
And you want to take care of the people around you that you love and care about, right, as well, right, and be present with them, and
definitely.
That's amazing. And and you have so much going on. You have a baby coming, I hear, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, congrats.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a lot to take in. I thought I'd have kids like later on in life, when I was, I guess, already like set, like done with like goals and business or whatever. But I realized that it's like that it is a blessing, to be able to have a child with the woman that you love.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's
beautiful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
And also, just I know we're closing out here, but what is your where did you learn all this, like, to be spiritual and to like manifest and to literally go to these mountains and sit there and like go into like the universe? Like, where did you learn all this? Is it from your mom or dad? Is it from okay, straight up,
not.
straight up. I was like, I just had to make sure.
You're like, how dare you say
I was like, is that something you learned from them? But
No.
I was trying to give some credit, but
I think it always just like called to me. I just get like a different feeling out of nature.
Okay.
And then, I have read a lot of books in my life. Like, I've read literally thousands of books.
Amazing.
In my life.
Amazing. Oh my gosh.
And,
most people don't even read one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like
for
literally.
real, yeah.
I say like reading, especially when you don't have those frameworks yet in your mind, will literally change your life.
Yeah.
Reading, like spiritual books, reading business books.
Okay.
Right. Like some of the most impactful books, I could list out a few. Like reality transurfing, one of the most spiritual books.
Amazing.
Like The Way of the Spirit Man, how to navigate relationships, and how to be as a man, right, in this world that we live in.
Yes.
Right. And then there's like The Power of Now, being present in whatever situation you're in, because for guys like us, I feel like sometimes it's hard to be present. And then another one on like finance. I remember I read a really good one back in college that really like changed my mindset. I learned more in that one book than I did in college.
Oh wow!
About business finance. It was called The Millionaire Fast Lane.
The Millionaire Fast Lane.
Okay. Yeah, a shout out to MJ DeMarco.
Let's go.
I'll like to meet him one day.
You will.
Yeah, I probably will. He's probably running around somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's a G. He talked about like just separating your time from money. You can't get rich. Working a 9-to-5 job. You have to multiply your time.
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
Leverage money. Leverage people. Right. And that taught me everything I kind of needed to know.
That's amazing, because
it was like self-taught again, something you just went all in like everything else.
Yes.
And then that bring you into your spiritual world of being all in on that too.
Yes.
So just going all in on that. That's
going all in on everything.
Everything, literally everything.
Yeah, and
so
those
powerful.
books teach you how to have more days in one day just by being more present.
Exactly.
Like, all right, like instead of like we wake up at 4 a.m., so from 4 to 12, we feel like that's one part of our day.
Yes.
Like we woke up, we worked out, we read a book, we masterminded, we did so many spiritual things by then, and also we're already getting our team in line. Then that second part of the day, so we learn a lot from that, and I feel like that's a huge part that many people they just use a one single day. Like, oh, we're gonna go through Monday today, and it's one of those situations. But
yeah, exactly. Like with that concept you just talked about, it's like time is all relative, right?
Yeah.
Like this concept of having 3 days in one day. Or
exactly
12 months in 1 month.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But because like a big thing is that I've heard is, oh, this is going to take me 10 years to achieve. This is my 10-year plan. And then like I think Elon Musk talks about this too, but it's like, how do I achieve my 10-year goal in 6 months?
Yes, right. He does.
And even if you don't achieve in 6 months, you're gonna be a hell of a lot closer.
Right.
So you didn't change that thinking.
So
right.
Right.
Right. Powerful.
And that's one of the main reasons why I think a lot of people are doing like these outreach things like podcasts, or they do this influencing on social media, whether it's good, whether it's bad, because they're obviously trying to advance further in something. So I think that's great advice that you provided regarding the books, because a lot of people don't really understand it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know we could, if you guys want to learn more about Mr. Gav, you also have your podcast, which is the Gem Podcast.
Yes, the Gem Podcast.
So that will really take you on a journey with Mr. Gav more than today, because, you know, he has so many different podcasts. I've only got through like a couple of them, so we're still learning here.
Thank you.
So make sure you check that out. And
Absolutely. And just want to appreciate you for being here today, and thanks for like sharing everything about your life.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a lot more to you,
Right.
for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
We
but
could
you know
talk
what?
for literally 6 hours.
Literally,
I
yes,
know.
right.
We should have brought food. We could have just like,
Yeah,
like,
thank you
we're
for
really
having
cool.
me.
Definitely.
Eli and Mike.
anytime. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So guys, I appreciate you guys being on this podcast with us. Expect us to roll this out by most likely next Sunday.
Awesome.
Or the following Sunday. I think we're about 2 weeks out right now. So we're going to roll out about 3 reels. You're welcome to collab with us if you like.
Of course.
So it'll be great content. You do not want to miss this. Great story from the one and only Gav, and we truly appreciate you being here with us today. And
where
Thanks so
could we
much.
find you? Where could everybody find
where
you?
can everybody find you?
So Instagram has everything. I have.
There you go.
If you want to message me, contact me.
Love
I
it,
also have
love it.
partnerships that I do with other high net worth individuals. Pretty much just investing capital into my business, you know, and we all win together. Right?
Amazing.
Fantastic. I love
Amazing.
that.
Thank you for being here for us today.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Appreciate it.